You know, I should go more in depth about this list at some point. It's like you are ranking the best of the best. So I better explain it too, because I made so many videos about these Ocarina Time dungeons. Well, I said it. I don't want to be a little bitch, and here I am making the video. One goal everyone should have in life is to not sink as low as a YouTuber who doesn't live up to his commitments. And every video has a little clickbait to it, but there is another level where they sunk to the bottom floor of the ocean, and then straight through to the core of the earth. So let's rank these dungeons. If you have seen my previous Ocarina Time videos, you've probably seen this little picture right here that I've shown before. That already gives the answer away. And I don't really want to talk about Ganons Castle too much, it probably goes right in the middle. It's like somewhere between the adult dungeons and the child dungeons. So if you're busy or bored, feel free to check out other videos like
the Nintendo holiday game, where you could win one of thousands of terrific...
If you do want to say, get yourself nice and cozy in bed with some good old hot cocoa, and let's get started. Jabu Belly is my least favorite dungeon in the game. While still a good dungeon, carrying Ruto around to help her find her stone is rather cumbersome. This dungeon wouldn't even be needed if she didn't drop the stone in this fish in the first place. Like, she's as clumsy as a teenage dad putting on a condom. The design too is, well, the guts of a fish. It's not the most comforting place to be, but still unique enough to help kind of create the diversity of themes in this game. While this is last, Jabu Belly is still a good dungeon, which that statement alone best describes why and how good this game is. The first dungeon in the game is next on the list. It is a basic dungeon, which would make sense because it's the first dungeon, it's more of a tutorial for the player. Even simple and short, there are still so many epic things going on in this dungeon. The theme is insane. You're climbing and descending into this ancient tree that Ganon has cursed. While you climb it, you get introduced to how all the dungeon items work. Like, you find the map, you find the compass, and you get your first actual dungeon item in the slingshot. And then what better way to get to the basement than by committing suicide? And being saved because you land in a 2-foot pool. Goma's a bit of a pushover, but it shows what kind of menacing monsters are in this game. Yeah, I will say it's a basic dungeon compared to the rest, but it is a good sign of to what to come. The top kids dungeon is the Dongos Cavern. Nestled inside the game's largest mountain is a cavern where Gorons use to feast on rocks, but can't because Ganon summoned the Dongos to hang out in their spot. Are the Gorons aware that rocks are all around them and that they are still set? I guess not. But it does lead to a good dungeon, especially for this phase of the game. It has a well-used layout, a key item gained in the bombs, and a great use of the main room, especially how you can light up the Dodongo's eyes so you can progress even further into the dungeon. It is still short compared to the temples, but this is the best child dungeon. Ganons Castle is number 6. I don't really want to talk about this one too much, I don't know, I just feel like it's the final dungeon of the game is not really kind of the same as the others. It's supposed to more recap the game and stuff, which it does well, but doesn't necessarily thrive in one theme which everyone else does. So I don't really, like, it's epic and stuff with the climb to the top of the castle and all that stuff, but I don't know, I'm just gonna put it 6 right now, so it separates the temples and the child dungeons. That makes a lot of sense. It's time to tackle the temples, which I do believe the temples are the best dungeons in this game. Sure, the kid dungeons are great, and they do show how amazing the game is. They just can't be as complex as the adult temples. I mean, let's be real, the kid dungeons don't even have keys and stuff. Which is, kind of think about it, it's kind of odd that not even small keys or boss keys and none of that stuff. The Shadow Temple is the weakest temple, so it comes in 5th on the list. I do like how one of the dungeons has a creepy theme, although it isn't really my thing. This dungeon is a lot more of a straight line versus an open area to explore, which I won't say is necessarily a bad thing, but I would like a little more variability on what paths to traverse in the dungeon. I also get annoyed at how often the shrieking redeads pop up. It does affect how the dungeon flows. The Shadow Temple is a good level, but I can't rank it higher than the other temples on this list. What is one of the most notorious levels in video games, the Water Temple is up next. I proved last year that this temple is for sure infamous, but it is still an awesome level. The dungeon really forces you to explore and find all the small keys, with the main reason behind that is you have to constantly change the water level between the lowest, middle, and highest settings. You control it by going to certain places in the dungeon playing Zelda's Lullaby, and will raise the water to that level. It does get a little tedious because you're constantly going back to the same spots to have it to the right level for that activity. But I do enjoy of all the places you gotta explore in this dungeon how it kind of forces you to go different paths to trigger you to go to those different locations. Yeah, I do kind of wonder how many of you are enraged or seeing the Water Temple this high up on the list, or how many of you just don't give a shit. As we get to the top 3, we have the Fire Temple. This is overall a terrific temple. Its design is essentially 2 pillars climbing up to the top where the legendary hammer is, and then you have to work all your way back down to open up the secret room and use said hammer to smash Volvagia, the legendary dragon. All throughout, you're saving the Gorons that were trapped inside this volcanic dungeon. I do love this layout. I love the challenges. Flame Dancer is fucking weird. And overall, it's just a terrific temple. Yeah, it's just a terrific temple. It really is terrific. Coming in at number 2 is probably a favorite of many's, the Forest Temple. It is the first temple you face as an adult, and it gets you off on the right foot. The entire temple is in the way back of the sacred forest with an eerie kind of design with the forest overgrowing it, and that damn music playing in the background. It for sure makes this dungeon mysterious, and that is an ideal theme for a temple. And the challenges you face in it, like trying to hunt down all the Poes, are also perfect for it. You eventually do work your way down to the basement where you fight another phantom. This tennis amateur is Ganon's slave that he just kind of took from some kind of shadow realm, and it gives you a preview as what to come for the actual Ganondorf fight. I gotta move on to the top temple, but I can rant forever about this temple. It's awesome. Problem is, the next temple is even more awesome than that. My favorite Zelda dungeon overall is the Spirit Temple, an absolutely terrific temple. It is the last temple in the game, and it's isolated in a deep desert, which actually is related to Ganon's origins. What I like about this temple is you have to traverse it as both a kid and an adult, which allows you to use all the items you've gathered throughout the game. I love how the layout branches you out into both different directions as well, one for the kid side and one for the adult side, allowing it to be one temple but being explored in 2 different ways. I love the layout. I love the design. I love the theme. I love the music. And I love you for watching this video. Yeah, if you had a tough day, don't worry, because you can just sit back, buddy, and boot up this game and it's going to instantly be a better day. Enjoying Ocarina of Time is better than an actual therapist. Like, this shit will actually make you feel good. And when you're playing this level of the Spirit Temple, oh man, you're in for a terrific time. Even though Jabu's is at the bottom of the list, you'll still enjoy it if you're trying to play through that dungeon. This entire list, sure, I had to rank it so something's going to be last, but the entire list is just filled with great levels. And that's what makes this game great. Something that Call of Duty will never know anything about.